Sunday weekly prep analysis, going over the markets on my watch list this week using the supply and demand methodology. Let's have a quick look at the news. This is very important to have a look at the news every single week. So we have Monday coming out. Stock market will be closed. I have no idea. National Independence Day or something like that. Juneteenth. National Independence Day. No idea that was a thing, but there you go. Markets will be closed for the people in the United States. Tuesday, we got some news coming out. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's not too much news, but it's also like no news coming out. So it's important to keep an eye out for the times because, hey, you probably don't want to be trading the euro on a lower time frame at exactly 12:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You know what I mean? Or when Fed Chair Powell testifies at 7 in the morning. It's probably a good idea at maybe listening to that speech. So it is very important to keep an eye on what news is coming out for the day. You guys might be surprised. A lot of people actually don't follow the news at all, and I have to explain to them about why it's important to know which news events are coming out for the week and how to avoid certain ones and how you should be trading them. So let's get into it. We got a couple pairs on the watch list that we can quickly talk about. One of them is pound USD. I really love buying the dollar right now. In fact, let's just pop over to the dollar, the DXY. Obviously, overall, the dollar has been in an uptrend all year. We talked about it at the start of the year when I brought out my yearly analysis video. I'll show you a little logo on the screen if you want to watch that. I will include that in my description. So far for the year, I've been really bullish commodities, been bullish the dollar, and I was bullish the stock market, but been completely wrong with that one. So when it comes to the dollar, I definitely don't want to be sitting out here selling nonstop against the dollar. I mean, it's just nonstop making higher highs and higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. But if I want to be using multiple time frame analysis and kind of timing my entries for when the best time to be buying this dollar is, I like this daily pivot point area of demand as well. Oh, by the way, we are going to be going over Bitcoin as well because that thing has been crashing lately, but then it's had a nice pullback. So we are going to make sure we cover BTC. We look at the dollar. Nice daily drop-based rally demand zone. It's a pivot point. I love buying the dollar. So, hey, over the next week or maybe next week, if prices do pull back down into that area, I will be looking to be buying the US dollar heavily back into this demand zone. Till then, I might watch it on some smaller time frames, but where would I see sellers coming into the market? I would probably say somewhere up in here, which it's already been holding for a little bit, and then buyers here on the 4-hour. I'm really trying to look for these strong imbalances, right? I'm actually going to send out a little review for you guys that have gone through the masterclass and the free training about just recapping the whole supply and demand methodology and things I recommend you guys doing. So if you want to get that, it's going to be coming out sometime this week in an email. So sign up down below, moneyballtrading.com. But what I'm really trying to focus in on, and I see this common mistake when people are trading this system, is they don't focus on heavy imbalances. Like they're trading these really poor zones. Like they'd be trading little supply zones down in here, saying, oh, wow, that's a supply, that's a supply, that's supply. It's like, no, we're trying to identify very, very strong imbalances of supply and demand, right? So let's quickly delete that. So yeah, I think probably sellers might come in here for a short time, but then buyers down here in the 4-hour and then ultimately the daily time frame. So if we pop over to that pound USD, definitely I like selling this pound USD. You would be buying the dollar and selling the pound. So definitely like that as a higher time frame analysis. Let's move over to the USD Mexican because this is one of my favorite pairs to trade. Not because I spend a lot of time in Mexico, but also I think it's one of my most profitable. I've don't really trade it too often, but when I do, it's a very, very high success rate. I like this daily demand. I'm going to be buying this thing if I can. Long-term bullish the United States dollar. Besides that, this is a straight up setup that I like buying anyways. It broke downward trend lines. It removed an opposing pivot point area of supply here. It removed all this area of supply. Broke downward trend line. We have a drop-based rally demand zone. Look at the amount of buyers that came in from here. Very strong move to the upside, followed by a secondary leg out, very strong move to the upside. So if prices do come back down into there, I will be looking to be buying USD Mexican here on the daily time frame. Or what you can do, if you say, hey, this isn't for me for a swing trade, no problem. What you can do is use that daily demand as a higher time frame and then go down to a 1-hour or 30-minute time frame and look for buying opportunities like I demonstrated over here. So I said, you can buy this, or you can wait for confirmation, waiting for prices to come into the daily and then going down to a lower time frame and waiting for confirmation. I talked about this in my tips playlist that I will also put in the description, but you can go to my videos, click on tips playlist, and it breaks down the entire supply and demand methodology, the whole concept, how to draw zones, price action, confirmation, set and forget, all that good stuff. Now, where do I see sellers coming in? Here on the daily, right here. Daily supply, daily supply. I'm not too much of a fan of selling, but that's definitely where I would see maybe some type of selling coming in. I know there was a nice 1 hour zone that I really liked. Like this is like a fantastic zone. I really like this. It's already been played out. But we have this higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and then very strong imbalance. Once again, guys, focus on the imbalance. That is my number one tip that I can give anybody when they're trading this system. Make sure the imbalance is very, very strong. Okay, so here it would be that supply zone of where people would be selling at. Okay, so let me quickly delete that and let's move on to the next one. Dollar we talked about, pound we talked about. Let's talk about the stock market. I mentioned it in my previous traveling and trading video I uploaded on Friday. I will show a picture of that. Hey, if you guys want to see me traveling and trading, you guys want to see that video right there. Here in Jaco, Costa Rica. So I explained in that video, if I recall, maybe I still have it. No, I deleted it over the weekend. I was clearing my charts. But I really like this area of demand to be looking for buying opportunities. Why? Because it was also sitting inside this monthly area of demand. It looks better on the Dow Jones. So if we go to the Dow Jones, we'll be able to see that. It was like this little monthly area of demand. And then I went down to the daily time frame, right? And then was looking at buying that demand, but on the NASDAQ. Okay, it was breaking downward trend. It was removing the opposing pivot point supply zones here. Very strong move to the upside. Exactly what we just talked about on the dollar. On the USD Mexican is what happened here on the NASDAQ. Now, why would I avoid this trade setup? Well, I avoided it because when I did my 6-month review, I'm like a 29% winner when I'm buying the stock market right now, which is totally understandable. I mean, look at this thing. This thing has been crashing nonstop all year. So it's very unlikely that you're going to be having a higher win rate when buying than selling. When selling, I'm like a 50% with a 3-to-1 reward to risk versus like 25% or 29% with 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 reward to risk when I'm trying to buy. So it doesn't make any sense for me to be buying this thing, right? So with that in mind, obviously 66, 70% of the days are down days. And any time that you get a big move to the upside, it takes control for maybe a week to maximum 2 weeks, and then it just starts selling off again. So if I'm going to be buying this daily demand zone, I'm thinking in my head like, hey, I got to be prepared to be in this trade for a week to 2 weeks. And given the state of the market, this thing has been nonstop dropping. So it's a foolish thing to be buying this thing on a daily time frame. So what I did was I said, hey, I won't use it as a swing trade, but I will use it as maybe a higher time frame and then go down to a lower time frame like the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the 30-minute, the 1 minute, and then look for buys in there. Unfortunately, there were no setups at all because prices just completely crashed. Okay, so right now in the stock market, I'm just really focused in on trading one time frame. Where do I like selling? I definitely like selling up in here. I definitely really do like that pivot point daily supply zone, created a new low. It's got a very, very good imbalance to the downside. Remove the demand zone, went deeper into the monthly demand. So we're building, how could you say, you're building a case of why the stock market will sell off from these locations. That's essentially what you're doing when you're trading. You push sell, you're trying to build a case of why you're selling that thing and why you think it's going to go down from that price and onward. You know what I mean? So let's continue on. Do we have to cover gold? I do like gold. I do love gold. But where do I see this thing going? I'm not focused on a daily time frame. I'm really focused in here on this 4 hour. I think you guys will get some good shorts up in here. I know I will be looking for selling opportunities in here. I'm not a big believer in selling gold long term. Love it long term. But for a quick trade, if you want to use multiple time frame, I definitely do like this 4 hour supply zone. It was removing these areas of demand that created a new pivot point high. Strong rally up, right? It created a new high, removed these highs, right? So This demand here was eventually removed and it broke upward trend line. So that was telling me that a lot of sellers came in from up here. And if we actually go down to the lower time frame, even to the 1 hour, we'll see where the imbalance really took place. And this is really where I see the sellers starting to come in. Could be wrong, but this is where I see the areas of selling. And then this supply zone has already been played out. I see this thing going up. Now, I'm not saying this is going to touch it and drop all the way down. I'm just saying I think it's a really good area to be looking for selling opportunities, and I think you'll be able to capture a 2-to-1, 3-to-1, then get out of your trade. You know what I mean? Really good areas. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to focus in on, is where are these sellers coming into the market and trading that. As for buyers, you might get some buying coming in over here on a 1 hour. I like that area. And then maybe looking for 1 minute buys if prices come back into this area, because you'll be trading with this 1 hour uptrend, bouncing off of this 1 hour momentum, sitting inside 1 hour, 4 hour demand. Right? So I definitely like those areas for buying. Let's talk about BTC. BTC, where do we start with this one? This has been quite an interesting story. I'm not going to get into everything about what's been going on with it, but where do I see this thing bouncing? To be honest, let's talk about what my previous analysis was really quickly, because this is where I said buyers will be potentially stepping in, was down in this area. This is what's been on my charts for a very long time. It's been holding. And so when it was in this general area, I totally thought it was a really good area to be buying. Well, it eventually broke it. So I was wrong on that. But I'm not lying, guys. Right now with the weekly, like, if you are a big believer in Bitcoin, you absolutely love this price. You love it. Diamond hands are holding, hopefully. But just looking at as a weekly analysis, I'm thinking in my head, I'm not thinking long term, a year from now, whatever. I'm thinking for the next week to 2 weeks. I was looking at this yesterday, and what I noticed was it was such a strong candlestick. Like, this red candlestick was all the way down into here, and I'm like, damn, this thing is so oversold. This thing is about to pull back. I think it's going to have a bullish week. I don't think we're going to have another sell-off. I really don't think we're going to have another sell-off week. I think it's going to print a sideways candlestick. If not, have a little rally up. I think that's what Bitcoin is going to do this next week. But the reason I was saying that is because we are sitting inside this weekly rally-based rally. We've never actually broken the 200 moving average on the weekly time frame. Never have, right? And so if we get a very strong candlestick closing, that's not telling me that we're breaking the trend line. No. Or the 200 moving average. If we get another one that fully open high-low closes below it, then I'll say, okay, you know what, we broke it. But like over here is when we tested it back in 2020, right? Touched the 200 moving average, took off. Back here, tested twice, took off. Now we go back into here. What about this area? Back in 2015, tested once, took off, held around here for a little bit, and then took off. We've never actually broken it. So I think you're getting some really good value, but also on top of that, we pull up the indicators, and I'm not a big fan of this, but it is a good tool to use to consider if things are overextended. Bollinger Bands and stochastics. So what I notice here is obviously stochastics completely oversold. We haven't seen this thing turn yet. Maybe watch it on a daily to see it starting to turn, right? But completely oversold. But then also look here on the weekly. What I notice is this thing is just where it's cutting into the candlestick from where it broke. This is just what I'm seeing. This was from yesterday, what I was looking at the markets. It was down 25%. Now it's down 16%. But from the low, it was down 25%. And I was thinking, like, how many times has it gone below the 200, or sorry, below 25% or more than 25% on the Bollinger Band? That's kind of what I was thinking. And I was going back and thinking, okay, what about over here? How much did it go above? Okay, it looks like it went above 13%. Okay, let's go to the next one. It might have pierced through over here, 25%, 36%. Okay, it's pretty rough. No, it wouldn't be there. It'd be right here. Continued up. The next candlestick did print down. So it went up about 12%. But that next candlestick, yes, it did continue up. But before it did continue up, it did drop down here. And that's all I'm thinking. Price is going to do that for maybe a week. It's going to drop down have a rally up. That's what I'm thinking. But then it could continue back down and continue to make a price like that. You know what I mean? Let's continue on. Where else is another example? Here at one point, when it was breaking through, it was a very strong candle down to the downside, 33%. It was down. Up here, when it broke through, it was up 25%. Here, 30%. Right? So we're flirting with that area of where we would see the buyers maybe potentially step in. Where is it crossing? Around here. It's down 25%. So if it goes down to 30%, you know, hey, it could I think it could go down maybe to 15,000. Hey, really good. But I don't think so. I think we got a little pullback coming in my opinion. So let's keep going down. As for my supply zones, I'm thinking here is where I see supply. I think that's going to be a major zone now. Is that old support becomes resistance? It's now a supply zone. So I think this is going to be the next like line in the sand, I guess you could say, 30,000 mark, where you will see a lot of sellers trying to hold this. Right? I think we could potentially go into a range for a little bit. Maybe we continue down. Who knows? But hey, if you like buying this thing long term, then you definitely like the price where it's at. Let's go to Aussie New Zealand. I like this weekly time frame. This is a higher time frame outlook. Higher time frame, monthly time frame. This is what's been on my charts for the last like 3-4 years. Is this sideways range? Buying low, selling high. Right? Anytime we're up here, sellers are generally coming in. Anytime we're down here, buyers are coming in. We're touching the top of the Bollinger Band here. We're overextended. As a multiple time frame analysis, this thing is overbought. We're sitting inside supply, bouncing off of resistance, top of the Bollinger Band, overbought on stochastics. It's got a good story of why you can start looking for selling opportunities. So with that, I am going to go down to a smaller time frame and look for selling opportunities. And I'm liking this 4-hour supply zone. I do. I really do. But what I need to see first, I want to see this area getting removed. I need to see this whole area because we pop here on the daily. The trend is still up in my opinion, right? You got this higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? So to say that, okay, we're finally breaking the trend now and this thing is going down, off of what information? This thing is still clearly holding an uptrend. Right? This is the major pivot point that I need to see being removed before I start selling that area. So I want to see this trend line being broken. I want to see this demand zone being removed, and then I will look to sell that supply zone up here, maybe even the daily, but maybe more so the 4-hour up there on a smaller time frame up here is what I'm looking at. So I need to see this thing drop a little bit more. And hopefully with these Aussie New Zealand news coming out this week, we will get that move. Let's see what else we got going on. Hey, by the way, if you guys did want to reach out to me, you can follow me on social media at Moneyball Austin, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And if you are enjoying this video, comment, like, subscribe. I think we're just going to end the video here, guys, because we've gone through a lot to keep an eye on the watch list this week. Be careful for the news. Lots of ideas for lower time frames and higher time frames, and for future things to look out for. Okay. If you guys want to learn more about this system and what I'm trading, you can head over to moneyballtrading.com. That will be in the description below, where you can sign up there for the free training, and I will send you videos for you to watch to learn this whole methodology and for you to join the private group. If you have any questions, let me know at Moneyball Austin. Subscribe, join the team, like if you enjoy it, comment. Do you think I'm wrong on that Bitcoin call? It could be going to the moon, it could be going down. What's your favorite pair for the week? Let me know, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Cheers.